Good Thursday, everyone. Welcome to the Keystone Click Marketing Research and Strategy webinar series. Today, we are going to highlight keyword research. We have a really great webinar put together for you today. I am Will Jurgensen, the Director of Client Experience here at Keystone Click. And with me is the boss lady, Lori Highby. Lori, how the heck are you?
Oh, I am fantastic. I love Thursdays. They just get me excited for Friday and the weekend.
No question about it. Absolutely. We are so close. But we have some great stuff here today. So without any further ado, let's take a quick peek at today's agenda. We're going to touch a little bit on who we are here at Keystone Click, very brief, but we certainly think it's important. Why keywords are important, how to begin conducting keyword research, what to do once you have conducted that keyword research, what to do with those keywords that you've identified from that keyword research. And then, as always, we are going to open it up to some questions at the end.
Yeah, so feel free to use the chat or the Q&A if you do have any questions, and we'll answer those right at the end of this. So let's dive into who is Keystone Click. So we are a strategic digital marketing agency. Started the business in 2018. About 80% of our clients are in the B2B space, with 50% of that being roughly the industrial manufacturer. But we do have somewhat of a diverse portfolio, the companies that we work with. We've got a strong team of 5 professionals in the marketing and digital expertise. We really focus on supporting our clients by developing a comprehensive marketing strategy and then the implementation of those tactics. This includes a number of things, but not necessarily limited to a website design and development, marketing automation, content creation, and paid advertising.
Awesome. We are going to continue with our Take Action and Win promo. We encourage all of you on today's webinar to share something that you may have learned today during the webinar. So if you've learned something about a cool new tool or potentially an app in this presentation, please take a screenshot of it, post it on social media, tag Keystone Click in that post, and as always, we will be giving away a free book to one of the individuals that tags us.
Yes,
it's a great book.
Lots of goodies to share, so hopefully we don't overwhelm you. But if you find something new, we want to, don't keep that to yourself. Share it with others as well. So let's dive into why keywords are important.
Let's do it. We're going to begin here, Lori, with a little blast from the past, as you can see from our Pond's shampoo advertisement here on the right-hand side of your screen. But really, we're taking a look at why keywords are so important. And the message has always been important. You know, how you say something directly impacts the response of the person receiving that message. So, Lori, I know you're going to speak here just in a moment about, how this ad, in particular speaks to you. But just to continue to reiterate, either an advertisement you read, see, or hear is only going to capture your attention if it impacts you directly. And if it does not, then it's not going to be something that you're going to, retain. What captures your attention is the message that directly resonates with you. So this vintage ad, as you can see, would have connected with Lori. Lori, why would it have connected with you?
Well, I have long hair, so that message, those 2 words, long hair, is what pulled me in and captured my attention. And so they're speaking to a very specific audience. And Will, your hair isn't as long, is it?
Not quite as long.
No, so I don't know if it would have really pulled you in necessarily, but what the focus is on, what you said, Will, is that message and those words, making sure that the right person that you're trying to get their attention, are using the right language that pulls them in. So again, I found this fascinating, and I was really excited because I remember when I was going to college in marketing, learning about this dial testing. And because we're in a major election year, I mean, I don't want to get political in that sense, but just wanted to share some history on messaging as it relates to campaigning. So this has been going on for easily 30 years. Political research is using this approach that's referred to as dial testing to help candidates use the right words in their speech to capture the attention of the majority of the audience. And the way this works is they turn the dial left or right, as you can see on the screen here, to indicate whether or not the message that is being stated is connecting with them. So during this test group phase, what's happening is they're restating the same thing to this test audience, but using different words to iterate that message, and then overall identifying what is the majority of the audience connecting or resonating to, so that they can identify what specific words to use in their campaign message, which I found fascinating. When I learned this in school many years ago, I won't tell you exactly how many years ago, but I was really excited to actually find the data and be able to share it, because I think it really does connect and resonate with what's happening in the digital space with regards to keywords. Something else, as I was doing this research around this specific story, I found some other campaign history. In 2008, Barack Obama's team was really struggling to get website visitors to convert to subscribers. So they did some testing specific to the language of the button that encouraged people to actually subscribe. They used 3 different phases. So they used learn more, join us, or sign up. And they found that learn more actually outperformed the other messaging by over 18%. So that minor tweak on that specific call to action button with regards to the language used increased the overall results at the end of the day.
So Lori, I know we're going to get a little bit more here momentarily into, you know, how to begin conducting kind of keyword research and putting your keywords together. But I think something that you just spoke to there that's really important is this idea of testing, kind of like a A/B type testing within, you know, your keywords. Can you speak a little bit to, you know, how often you should be testing certain types of keywords, or why that would be important?
Well, messaging, and you're definitely getting ahead of where we want to tackle today, but that's okay. I'm going to answer that question for you, Will, because I'm sure others have that same question right now that you said it. So the message you should always be testing. You should be testing the language on your emails, on your ads, on, you know, the language on your buttons to convert, your call to action triggers, because you're going to learn what actually has a higher impact and is connecting better to your specific audience. So that's not necessarily the focus of today's topic, but at the end of the day, it comes down to what are the words that you're using in your ads or in the buttons or the text.
Just a little bit of a snippet to keep people coming back, you know. So on our last slide here on why keywords are important, we're going to take a closer look at search engines, and specifically Google, which is processing over 5 billion searches a day. Just an absolutely remarkable number there. So if we take a moment to kind of think about that, you know, how many times a day are you going to Google, or any search engine for that matter, and typing in an inquiry? You know, Google does hold 92% of search engine market share. And as you can imagine, you're probably, you know, visiting those search engines often. So now I want you to think about how you search, right? Not very often are you going to a search engine and just typing in one word, but instead you're typing in more of a phrase or a specific question. You know, keyword research provides valuable insight into the queries that your target audience is actually searching on Google. The insight that you can get into these actual search terms can help you inform content strategy as well as your larger marketing strategy. However, keywords themselves may not be as important to SEO as you may think. So with that, conducting research on the messages and how people are searching online gives us a window into the language to use. the message will connect to your audience, just like it did in the past with traditional advertising.
And it all comes down to finding the right words and the right language to use to encourage people to take that next step, whatever it is within your marketing campaign. Not just focused on making sure you show up in Google. And oftentimes people think that, when we're doing keyword research, it's just to help you with your search engine results. It goes beyond that. And really at the end of the day, your keywords are influencing everything you should be saying and doing. So let's get into the nuts and bolts of how to do this. Also, friendly reminder, if you like what you see, if you're finding value, if we're educating you, take a screenshot, post it to social media, tag us in it with a little bit about what you learned, share that information with the world for a chance to win an awesome book.
So in our last webinar, which Keegan, a team member here at Keystone Click, and I put together a couple weeks ago on understanding your competition, we actually started a new business venture for us called Keystone Pizza. And as you can imagine, we sell pizzas. So to make this kind of an easy understanding process, we're actually going to walk through how we would conduct research, keyword research specifically for Keystone Pizza to help illustrate this process. And as a reminder, if you want more insight into the competitive research, you can view our past webinars, which we will show you a link here at the end.
All right, good. Yes, Keystone Pizza. So if you'll see at the top, we search for pepperoni cream cheese pizza, and I'll come back to that in a little bit. That's just my personal favorite pizza, and I think I've helped Will to maybe like that one. I don't know if it's your favorite, but I know you're a fan now.
I think what we've learned, Lori, more than anything, and I'm sorry, a little sidebar here, is that I've learned that you can put cream cheese in a lot of things,
yes.
or on a lot of things other than just bagels, which was my what I really considered cream cheese to have one purpose for. It's been an eye-opening experience.
Okay, that's fantastic. So first, what I want you to do is compile a list of words. And really what we're doing when it comes to any keyword research is you need a starting point. So these words could be the services that you offer, the products that you offer, any relevant or similar topics related to your offering. Think about the questions that people ask related to your products or services, and then start Googling this. And what you're going to do is you're going to get some inspiration for additional phrases and words to be looking at. So you want to start building a spreadsheet. We usually use Google Sheets so that we can share the insights collectively within our team. In addition, put yourself in your ideal customer's shoes and think about what is that pain that they have and how are they going to be searching for that problem. So again, for Keystone Pizza, I threw in this pepperoni cream cheese pizza as a phrase, and I want you to look at what's showing up in Google. First thing that is showing up here is, let's see, cream cheese pizza. It's a recipe that's showing up. There's a handful of recipes that's showing up. It's a dip. So that's something to be aware of. So maybe people are searching for recipes around this. Okay, so the next thing that we're gonna look at when we're looking at a Google results page is how often or how many other results are showing up. So when I type in pepperoni cream cheese pizza, there are 46 million results that show up. That is very high. That means that's telling me that's a very competitive phrase to be typing into Google, which means it's going to be extremely difficult for us to show up as on the first page for that. The next thing that I'm going to look at is you scroll down a little bit further on this page is people also ask. And this is going to give you some inspiration for some additional phrases and words to add to that list. So pizza, what goes on pizza first? Cheese or pepperoni? Maybe that's something of value, maybe it's not. What's the main cheese on pizza? Again, maybe that's something of value that will help me to obtain additional results in the future. But the goal right now in this first phase is to build as big of a list of words that align with what it is you're trying to do and search for to get a better idea and feel for how people are searching for what it is that that you're offering. The last thing I want to highlight that you should search for or take a look at when you're typing some things into Google initially, when you scroll down to the bottom of the page, or this also happens when you start typing in, Google gives you some recommendations for related searches. Gives you some inspiration again. So maybe it's cream cheese and bacon pizza. Wow, I didn't even think about that. That could be pretty powerful. Can I use cream cheese for pizza? The answer is yes. Here we go, cream cheese pizza restaurant. Oh, that sounds like it's more in line with what our offering is, or pepperoni cream cheese pizza near me, which we're gonna get to that in a little bit. But looking at the searches related to is definitely going to give you some inspiration ideas for additional key phrases to add to this list. Anything to add to that, Will?
No, I think you nailed it right on the head there. I would just add that one of our top pizzas is going to be titled near me. So I think that's relevant.
That's great.
But, that is certainly the organic, kind of free way to do it by going to the search engines. At the same time, there are a number of incredibly useful tools available. If you were debating whether or not to take a screenshot, I would imagine now might be the time to do that. So as we continue to explore how to conduct keyword research, we wanted to at least provide you with some great tools and resources that are available. But one of the things that we consider incredibly important, and I know Lori touched on it a few moments ago, is that you continue to compile your keywords into one central location. I think we would all be naive to think that, the keyword research we did back in 2018 or even 2019, while a lot of it might still be the same, you have to imagine that some adjustments or changes have also taken place over time. And that's why it's really important to compile your keywords into one central location. Here at Keystone Click, we set up a Google Sheet, as Lori mentioned, with a couple of different tabs. And that's how we continue to monitor those keywords and see how things are adjusted over time. And most of these tools are going to help provide you with really great resources on those keywords, and then allow you to actually additionally export those results.
Yeah, so for example, I have a screenshot here of what Answer the Public will bring for some results, and I typed in pepperoni cream cheese pizza, and it's giving me a bunch of the questions that people are typing in related to that. So I like using these tools. I know we like to use these tools at Keystone Click because they give us inspiration for additional phrases and give us some direction based on where we started. And that's why I like to start with just broadly make a list of what we know, go to Google, see what Google recommends, and then start using some of these other third-party tools to get some additional insights on some of these words. So again, this list is getting pretty big now. But what do we do next?
We audit our competition. And honestly, just again, Lori, another great phrase there, when you're looking for inspiration, I think it's very easy to see what your competitors are doing and get bogged down on those same exact keywords. But I do believe a lot of those resources are going to help you, uncover additional and new keywords and key phrases as well. But with that being said, it is still incredibly important to audit your competitors. And here again are a few, if you will, various tools that are going to allow you to see how your competitors are showing up organically in search engines. SpyFu, for example, gives you a lot of information on the type of keywords that your competitors and yourself, for that matter, are showing up online. So, as we kind of uncovered, if you will, our competitors for Keystone Pizza, as you can imagine, Domino's, Pizza Hut, Papa John's, the big three. We did some preliminary keyword research on them. And for example, Domino's shows up for over 58,000 keywords in Google. Now, not all of those keywords are on the first page, but they're showing up for those words. So looking at where your competition shows up is going to give you a lot of really great insight, and it's going to help you to identify the strengths and weaknesses of your competitors. And then ultimately, once you identify in particular those weaknesses, that's going to in turn identify opportunity for you.
Well said, Will. Well said.
It's almost like I did a webinar on it last week or 2 weeks ago.
Maybe, that's right. All right, so once we've got this ridiculous list of keywords, and I'm not even joking with that, and I'll get to that in a little bit. Now we want to look at the data. So using a lot of these tools here are going to give you some information about those specific keywords. So before we talk about those data points, I want to talk briefly about user intent. You have to really understand the intention of the search. As mentioned earlier, we typed in pepperoni cream cheese pizza into Google. Now we're trying to sell this pizza. We've got chains all over the country. But one of the top results was recipes. So if I'm trying to sell these pizzas, I'm likely not going to have the recipe for my super amazing pepperoni cream cheese pizza on our website that's trying to just, you know, get people to take out, order, whatever it is. I mean, we could, that's a whole nother topic for a different webinar, but I'm looking for searchers with the intent of ordering the pizza from me. So knowing that the results from earlier were focused more on the recipes, and that tells me that that user intent is different than what the intention is that I have for the website and what I want people to do with that when they get to the site. So that word is not relevant to me, or that phrase. So I'm going to have to make adjustments and focus my phrase and words on the intent that aligns with my offering. So as Will shared, there's a number of tools that are out there that are going to give you some data points. So now let's talk about the data. There's two that we focus our energy on. The first is search volume, which this is telling you how often that phrase is searched on Google. And then the second is the level of competition, and that's showing you how many websites are showing up for that same phrase, which you can also see that just by typing anything in. And just as I shared earlier, that snippet, you know, 48 million results showed up for my pepperoni cream cheese pizza. So that's a high level of competition. So let's talk about how best to leverage that. The other thing that is really important when you're just looking at all of these phrases that you've collected in this mega spreadsheet that you're building is to identify the trends. Now with our Keystone Pizza example, the common phrases that we found, especially in this screenshot right here, is this phrase near me pizza, near me delivery, near me food, pizza near me. I mean, you get the gist here. So what we would do then is combine these trends into buckets. I guess that's the best way to phrase it, or put these similar items together so that we can then be a little bit more focused on how best to approach this near me. And that's why Will's standing joke is that he's going to have a pizza named near me.
It's gonna be delicious.
I'm curious what's going to be on it, actually.
Probably cream cheese.
So when we're filtering through this data, the first thing that we're going to do is identify, flag, remove any phrases or words that do not align with search intent. So as I mentioned, you know, let's say we've got 200,000 words that based on all of our mega research that we've done, anything that includes recipe or how to make or how to create, you know, those types of words, we're going to remove because they don't align with the intent that we are trying to achieve. Second, we're going to remove or flag any words or phrases that have a really high level of competition. So knowing that there was 48 million results for pepperoni cream cheese pizza, that tells me way too competitive of a phrase to try to get on the first page for, at least now. I mean, this is something you could strive for long term, but in the short term, you want to create some quick wins. You want to try to get things that have a lower level of competition. That's when we're going to take a look at the trends then, and based on those words that are left, figure out the similarities in those phrases, and then put these in and group these words. So example here, putting all of those similar words into that near me bucket. So once you've kind of organized that, you should be condensing that really big list that you have, and that's going to help tell a story then on how to select your top picks. So if you've got that theme or buckets and you've got a series of trends, That's a really good starting point. So from there, I'd say, you know, it's time to phrase it down and really pick your top 10 phrases or buckets to focus on. I'm going to pause for a second and just say that even though, you know, we kind of flew through this in you know, 20 minutes or so, this is definitely not a task to be taken lightly. We've worked on projects where our lists of phrases based on our research are in the $500,000, no, 500,000 keywords and phrases that we've audited and completed this process for. By looking at the level of competition and looking at the search volume, looking and identifying trends. And then we pare that list down to about 10 or 20 primary key phrases to focus on. And then we build a secondary list that says, you know, we want to get these. Our messaging, our focus, our optimization efforts are going to be on these 10 phrases, but these are secondary phrases that we want to embed into that content to support the goals that we're trying to achieve with these top 10 phrases. So when you're picking those, and it can be overwhelming, there's a couple questions that you want to ask yourself that'll help you to, again, continue to pare down and build that target phrase list. That first one is, can you confidently create content around that phrase? You know, if our research said anchovy and peanut butter pizzas is like the top phrase that we should be focusing on, but I can honestly tell you I cannot confidently create content around that without the exception of saying I'm not a fan of anchovy and peanut butter pizza, and I'm not really intending to you know, get found for that. So I'm not gonna focus on that. So you want to be confident, and that's blogs, social media, videos, whatever it is. The next question is, what do you want to show up for? What do you ultimately want to be positioning yourself as the expert in this space? We want to be experts in pepperoni cream cheese pizza. So, and I am confident that we can create amazing content around it. So we're going to put content around that everywhere. It's going to be one of those top phrases that we focus on. And the last question that you really want to focus on and help you answer, is this a target phrase that we should be focusing on or not, is this an opportunity for long-term success? Because, and this is more geared towards search engine optimization, but it is part of your bigger plan, is, you know, SEO is a long game. It's a long strategy that you're playing. So you don't want to focus on short-term activities and put a lot of your time and energy if it's got a long window or a short shelf life, I guess. So really focus on lowest level of competition, highest search volume, aligns with your search intent, and can you produce evergreen content with it? I stole the thunder on that one, Will, sorry.
Oh, no, consider it borrowed thunder.
Okay, great. All right, so what do you do with these words? Well, it's pretty straightforward. This is where you start creating content. You use the keywords on your website, in your title tags, and you name your images this, you blog posts, you think about those questions that you've compiled from your research. How are people asking questions or typing things into search? You create content around that. You create videos that have that title in it and the descriptions. You publish on social media using those same words and linking back to your site. You include those phrases and words in your emails. And the other thing that is important too is that you should start using this language when you're speaking to individuals, when you're conversing with individuals, when you're presenting webinars in person. You want to be the expert for these phrases and this language. It's not just how people are searching in Google, but that's their words, their intent, their goal, and their objective. They want to hear you saying that language as well. So if you want to be considered the expert, you have to be consistently using that language everywhere, online and in the traditional sense.
Well, and Lori, and I would just add to that, that as you're conducting your research as well, it's important, you know, a lot of people joining us today are local micro business owners and solopreneurs who do a lot of great networking. You know, listen to how people talk about your business also, or talk about your services, and understand the language that they're using as well, because that's really great insight to, you know, we all have our own perceptions of how we want to be viewed and how we want, you know, the world to see us. But I also think it's incredibly important to understand how people, you know, talk about us, and what type of, you know, keywords and key phrases they use as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's great advice to offer there, Will. So that being said, we did dive into a lot. I mean, this was super crash course on conducting keyword research. And, you know, as far as creating content goes, it just so happens that our next webinar is all about developing a content strategy, where we're going to dive deeper into how to use this keyword research that we completed today and to help you build a solid strategy. You want to talk about the measuring marketing goals one, Will?
Well, I just think that it's really important that people realize that we're taking a stance here of building off of our past webinars, and really kind of trying to give you everything piece by piece, and highlight, you know, there's so much that goes into developing a marketing strategy, and measurement is a big part of that, right? And so just, you know, little by little, we're kind of reaching the peak of the mountain here, and, you know, measuring marketing goals is incredibly important. And then, you know, we're going to polish off kind of this webinar series with an expert panel discussion there on September 24th. So a lot of great material yet to come.
Yeah, so the marketing goals were just really going to help you define your marketing goals and then figure out how you can actually measure them. And then the panel discussion, we've gathered some industry experts on the topics of marketing research and strategy. This is going to be a panel discussion that you will not want to miss. I promise that. And then that's going to wrap up at the end of September, our marketing research and strategy webinar series. And then starting the week of October 8th is going to be our marketing automation webinar series. So you can sign up and be notified of all future webinars that Keystone Click is hosting at keystoneclick.com/webinars. All right, let's open it up for questions.